And Lance Hockridge expanded on those thoughts when I spoke with him following the QR national profit announcement. Lance Hockridge, welcome to the programme.
Good to be with you, Vicky.
Now, your QR shares are pretty unmoved in quite a strong market. As an investor in the original float, why should I be pleased with this result?
Despite all the challenges of this year, it's really been a story of two halves. The first is the flood impact. We're up 35% in terms of the underlying EBIT for the year, despite the fact that as against the offer document, we were 37 million tonnes behind in throughput. That's a $187 million hit, albeit that some 65 million of that will recover this year and next year. On the other hand, the transformation activities, whether that's around the quality of our revenue, all of our productivity initiatives and so forth, has delivered us a benefit of $94 million in that year. So when you took all of that together, I think this is a very solid result for us.
You say it's been a tough year. Indeed, it has. The big pitch, of course, originally was that investors would now be part of something big. We're all waiting for big returns. And you haven't reset your prospectus forecasts, I notice, even though coal volumes are still expected to be considerably down over the next year.
The reality is that the recovery from the flood is taking longer than anybody expected, and in Queensland we are still seeing a certain softness. On the other hand, in New South Wales we've ramped up our volumes. By the end of this year we'll be at 30% market share. In Western Australia we said that we would treble our volumes in iron ore. We're well underway to do that. Overall, the message here is putting to one side, not to underestimate the significance, but putting to one side those one-off impacts associated with the floods. We have delivered on every promise that we made and more in the IPO document.
Can we expect a dividend of 8.3 cents next June then?
We can expect that we will continue to do the things that we said in the offer document. That is our commitment. One
of the big changes, obviously, you're doing is you're rolling over these existing sub-economic contracts. Now, one of your biggest customers, BHP, is obviously a great beneficiary of those sub-economic contracts. It's now saying that perhaps it would be considering building some of its own lines. You're not concerned about that?
I think it makes perfect sense for BHP to consider that amongst the many options that it has. The first point that I'd make is that that reflects on the very strength of the market that we're talking about, the extent of the growth. It is because of the increase in their volumes that BHP can think about doing this.
You're another company which this year is laying off employees, 600 employees. Perhaps that's no surprise given that it is a privatisation. But where is the skills shortage that we have heard so much about?
In fact, what we've done is we've shifted the emphasis in the company. You're exactly right. Across the year, we gave some 660 of our employees voluntary redundancy. But on the other hand, the other part of the question is we have also recruited hundreds of new staff. But instead of head office or administrative type people, we've been recruiting apprentices. We've been recruiting trainees, train drivers, network controllers, the very kind of skills that are needed to underpin the growth and the continuing capability of our company, which really speaks to that growth and that capability, that resilience of our company that we're talking about today.
Is that market very tight?
It is tight, and I expect that it will get tighter. Part of our strategy, Vicky, therefore, is to grow our own. That's why we're spending so much time recruiting these apprentices, these trainees, and putting them through our own training so that they stay with us down through the years.
You're now chairman of the Australasian Railway Association. Now, that organisation recently put out a report on the true value of rail. Do you feel that the government is taking any of these ideas seriously about investing more in rail rather than continuing the love affair with road?
I believe that there's an awful lot more that can be done, albeit that what we have seen in more recent times is at least a degree of more seriousness about that. We've seen, for example, the study on the interstate fast rail, the Brisbane to Melbourne network, the upgrade of the East Coast corridor, and the more recent announcement around the single national safety regulator. These things are all important. Our view is, though, that there is much more to be done. We believe that, therefore, there ought to be a good deal more attention, a good deal more underpinning of this vitally important infrastructure, which, after all, is very much the heartbeat of the future of the nation.
Lance Hockridge, it certainly is for half of the economy. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Great to be with you, Vicky.